Hi, welcome to I Love the Library. I'm Mary Haney, Director of the Detroit Lakes Public Library, and I'm so glad you joined me today because we're going to continue the conversation about authors' pseudonyms, or nom de plume, if you prefer, or their alter egos. And we have lots of writers who have chosen to use many different names to write under. Writers of mysteries often publish books using more than one name, and sometimes they use other names as a means to help readers keep the genres separate. One such writer is M.C. Beaton, another one of my favorites. She writes two contemporary mystery series. One is the Agatha Raisin mystery series, and the other one is about Inspector Hamish Macbeth. But she also writes an historical mystery series set in Victorian times as Marion Chesney. So you can find two different names for M.C. Beaton and three different series. So far, she's still writing, so maybe we'll get a few more series under a few more names. You just never know. I am fascinated with Ann Krentz because she uses three names. Only one of them is totally made up. Her real name is Ann Krentz. That's actually her married name. And she's the author of a string of New York Times bestsellers. And she has in the past used 7 different pseudonyms. Right now she's only using 3 names. Ann Krentz, her actual married name, and she uses that for contemporary romantic suspense. She uses Amanda Quick for her novels of historical romantic suspense. And she writes using her maiden name of Jane Castle. So her original name was Jane Ann Castle. And she uses that for futuristic, paranormal, romantic suspense writing. How's that for a genre? Ever a prolific author, Stephen King actually used a fake name for a while. He had published a few books as Stephen King, and he was trying to see if it was luck or talent, and he decided to use a pseudonym, which he adopted, Richard Bachman. He even went so far as to write a fake biography for the book jackets, had a picture of someone taken other than Stephen King as a photograph of Richard Bachman. And Richard Bachman's books were also co-written by his pretend wife, Inez. But there was a guy in Washington, D.C. working in a bookstore who noted similarities between King's style and Bachman's style. He did a little digging at the Library of Congress and discovered that indeed Richard Bachman and Stephen King were one and the same person. So since that time, King really hasn't published any more books under the name Richard Bachman, and some of them are out of print and some of them have actually been withdrawn. But King still continues to play with Richard Bachman as an alter ego. Sometimes he puts Richard Bachman or a part of that name into a Stephen King book as a character. He talks about him in interviews. Sometimes it's pretty funny. But that's Stephen King. Sometimes you can come across Richard Bachman. And last but not least, we have Anne Rice. Anne Rice is very famous for having written Interview with the Vampire, which came out in the middle 70s, followed by The Vampire Lestat and a lot of other kind of, I don't know what you'd call them, paranormal suspense, horror kinds of books. I remember a long time ago reading one about a mummy that was pretty darn scary. Well, now Anne Rice has decided she should write a different genre entirely under a different name. She writes as A.N. Roquelaure, although I don't know why she bothered since they put Anne Rice on the book even bigger than A.N. Roquelaure. But these books are advertised as, if you liked 50 Shades of Grey, you'll love the Sleeping Beauty trilogy. I could only find 2 of the Sleeping Beauty trilogy here in the Detroit Lakes Library at the moment. There is a third one floating around. Actually, I think it's the first one. So if you're anxious to read something else like 50 Shades of Grey, and it won't ruin the story of Sleeping Beauty for you, you can come down to the library and check out Anne Rice's new writing name and new style and new genre and find out what's going on there. If you want to know about what else she might be writing or any other author, we have lots of resources to help you find out what other names your favorite author is writing under. And you might find a whole different genre to read and to enjoy by coming in and investigating authors' alter egos here at the Detroit Lakes Public Library. So come on in and check them out.